The atmosphere around the New England Patriots is starting to heat up again, and this week feels like one of those turning points where things begin to take shape for what's coming next. With league meetings underway, this is the moment when front offices, coaches, and decision-makers from across the league gather not just to discuss rules, but to quietly map out the future. It's where conversations happen behind the scenes, where ideas start to turn into action, and where you can begin to sense the direction each franchise is heading as the next season slowly comes into focus. One of the biggest names speaking during this stretch was Eliot Wolf, who sat down for a detailed conversation and touched on several key topics surrounding the Patriots. While he didn't reveal everything, there were enough hints and confirmations to give fans a clearer picture of what's going on inside the organization. And right at the center of it all is the player everyone has been watching closely, the one who could define the next era of this team. Maye's health has been one of the biggest concerns since the end of last season, especially after that shoulder issue that forced him to push through pain on the biggest stage. There were real questions about whether that injury could linger into the offseason or even require a more serious recovery process. But the update coming out now changes everything. According to Wolf, Maye is fully healthy and expected to be a complete participant once offseason activities begin. That changes the entire trajectory of the Patriots' preparation. Instead of dealing with limitations or holding back their quarterback, they now have the opportunity to build momentum from day one. A healthy quarterback means timing can be developed earlier, chemistry can be built sooner, and leadership can naturally take shape as players gather for workouts and training sessions. It also allows Maye to take full control of the offense during this critical period, something that would have been impossible if he were still rehabbing. And that matters even more when you consider how much turnover or adjustment could be happening around him. Whether it's new receivers, changes in offensive schemes, or simply refining what worked last season, having your starting quarterback fully available gives the team a massive advantage. Instead of playing catch-up later, they can start ahead of schedule, setting the tone for everything that follows. At the same time, there's another situation quietly building that could have just as much long-term impact on the franchise. Christian Gonzalez has quickly established himself as one of the most important defensive players on the roster, and now the conversation has shifted from potential to commitment. The question is no longer about what he can become, but whether the Patriots are ready to lock him in as a cornerstone piece for years to come. Wolf made it clear that the organization values Gonzalez highly, describing him as a top-tier talent who continues to grow not just in performance, but also as a leader. That kind of praise isn't thrown around lightly, especially at this level. It signals that internally, the Patriots already see him as one of the faces of the defense moving forward. But recognition alone isn't enough in this league. Eventually, it comes down to action. The timing of a contract extension becomes crucial here. There's always a balance between financial strategy and long-term planning, and teams often try to find the perfect window to secure their key players. But waiting too long can come with risks, especially when the market continues to shift and other players at the same position start setting new benchmarks. Gonzalez knows his value, and it's becoming increasingly clear that he expects to be compensated accordingly. When players reach this level of performance so early in their careers, the expectation is that the organization will respond decisively. And with the Patriots having the flexibility to make a move, the spotlight naturally shifts to whether they will take that step sooner rather than later. This is where the broader roster-building strategy comes into play. With Maye still on a rookie deal, the Patriots are in that rare window where they can invest heavily in other areas without being constrained by a massive quarterback contract. It's the kind of opportunity teams try to maximize, loading up talent while the financial structure allows for it. And securing a player like Gonzalez would fit perfectly into that approach. The longer this situation remains unresolved, the more attention it will draw. Not because there's doubt about his ability, but because of how obvious the next move seems from the outside. When you have a player performing at an elite level and showing signs of becoming a leader, the expectation is that the organization will act with urgency. Every passing moment without a deal only adds to the anticipation surrounding what should be a defining decision for the franchise. And while those internal decisions continue to develop, there's another layer of intrigue beginning to form, one that involves potential movement across the league. Conversations about trades, roster adjustments, and strategic partnerships often begin during this exact time, and sometimes the biggest moves are the ones no one sees coming at first. As these internal decisions continue to build momentum, the conversation naturally shifts toward one of the most intriguing possibilities surrounding this team right now, and that is the wide receiver situation. It has been a constant topic throughout the offseason, and for good reason. If the Patriots are serious about accelerating the development of their young quarterback, then upgrading the weapons around him is not optional. It is essential. And that is where things start to get really interesting. One name continues to hover over everything, creating speculation that refuses to go away. A.J. Brown remains under contract elsewhere, and officially, nothing has changed. That has been the consistent message from all sides. But sometimes in this league, it is not just about what is said, it is about how it is said, and what is not being denied. The phrasing used when addressing his situation has been noticeably careful, almost identical across different voices, and that alone is enough to keep the doors slightly open in the minds of fans who are paying attention. When multiple decision-makers echo the same kind of response without fully shutting down the idea, it creates that sense that something could be brewing beneath the surface. No one is committing to anything publicly, but no one is completely closing the door either. And during this time of year, that gray area is where some of the biggest moves begin to take shape. It is also worth noting that communication between organizations tends to increase around events like joint practices, preseason planning, and off-season coordination, which only adds another layer to the speculation. The upcoming joint practices between the Patriots and Philadelphia add even more intrigue to the situation. These sessions are not just about preparation on the field. They are also opportunities for teams to interact closely, evaluate talent up close, and continue conversations that may have started long before. Whether intentional or coincidental, the timing of everything creates a scenario where possibilities remain alive, even if nothing is guaranteed. And then there is the financial aspect, which could ultimately dictate how realistic any move might be. Contracts, cap hits, and timing all play a role, and sometimes a situation that seems impossible one month can suddenly become viable the next. If certain numbers shift or if a team decides to restructure its priorities, the landscape can change quickly. That is why patience becomes such an important factor here, because clarity often comes later in the offseason when those financial thresholds begin to adjust. While the idea of landing a proven star receiver is exciting, the Patriots cannot afford to rely on just one potential outcome. Building a complete offense requires multiple layers of planning, and that brings attention to other avenues they could explore. The draft remains a major opportunity to inject young talent into the system, especially at a position where depth and versatility are critical. Developing a group that can grow alongside Drake might ultimately provide more long-term stability than a single high-profile addition. At the same time, there is another name that has quietly re-entered the conversation, and that is Stefon Diggs. His situation is very different, but the possibility of a reunion has not been ruled out. When asked directly, the response made it clear that nothing is off the table, and that kind of openness suggests the Patriots are keeping their options flexible as they evaluate every scenario. Bringing Diggs back would come with its own set of considerations. It would not be about making a splash, but rather about finding the right fit under the right conditions. If the numbers align and the role makes sense, it could provide an experienced presence in the receiver room. However, it is also clear that this would not be the primary plan. Instead, it would likely serve as a fallback option if other targets or strategies do not materialize. That layered approach reflects a broader philosophy that seems to be taking shape within the organization. Rather than locking into a single path, the Patriots appear to be preparing for multiple outcomes, ready to adjust depending on how the market unfolds. It is a strategy that requires patience, discipline, and a clear understanding of priorities, especially when trying to build around a young quarterback who needs both immediate support and long-term consistency. As the offseason continues to unfold, these storylines are only going to intensify. Every comment, every meeting, and every decision adds another piece to the puzzle. The balance between aggression and caution will define how this roster evolves, and the moves made in the coming months could ultimately determine how quickly this team transitions into its next phase. And as all of these possibilities continue to circulate, what really stands out is how calculated everything feels right now. There is no sense of panic, no rushed decisions, just a front office that seems to be carefully evaluating every angle before making a move. That kind of patience can be frustrating for fans who want immediate answers, especially when big names are constantly being linked to the team, but it also shows a level of discipline that is necessary when you are trying to build something sustainable rather than just chasing short-term excitement. At the same time, you can feel the urgency slowly building beneath the surface. The Patriots understand that they cannot waste this window with a young quarterback still developing and not yet commanding a massive contract. Every season during this phase matters, and every missed opportunity to improve the roster becomes more significant. That is why these decisions, whether it is extending a cornerstone player or making a move for a top receiver, carry so much weight right now. There is also the element of internal competition that cannot be ignored. The current group of receivers knows that their roles are not guaranteed, especially with all the external speculation. That kind of pressure can either elevate performance or expose weaknesses, and the coaching staff will be watching closely as off-season activities begin. Sometimes the best additions come from within, but that only happens when players step up and prove they can handle a bigger role. Another factor that adds complexity to this entire situation is how quickly narratives can change in the league. One move by another team, one unexpected trade, or even an injury somewhere else can completely shift priorities. What looks like a clear plan today might need to be adjusted tomorrow, and that is why keeping options open has become such an important strategy. The Patriots are clearly positioning themselves to react rather than forcing a decision before the right opportunity presents itself. And while all of this unfolds behind closed doors, the anticipation continues to grow among the fan base. Every update, every interview, and every subtle hint becomes something to analyze, something to debate. It is part of what makes this time of year so compelling, because even without games being played, the direction of the team is being shaped in real time through these decisions. What makes it even more compelling is that you can sense this is not just another offseason. It feels like a defining one. The foundation is there, the key pieces are emerging, and now it is about connecting everything the right way. Whether it is through strategic signings, bold trades, or trusting the development of young talent, the next steps will reveal exactly how the Patriots plan to move forward in this new era. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Protect the kid. The phrase is beginning to echo around league circles, attached to a growing whisper out of Foxborough that new head coach Mike Vrabel is quietly engineering a safety net for his young quarterback, Maye. No official confirmation, no flashy announcement, just the kind of calculated move that insiders insist is already in motion behind closed doors. According to sources familiar with internal discussions, the Patriots are exploring the addition of a bodyguard on offense, an experienced, physically dominant presence whose primary mission would be to keep Maye upright and comfortable as he navigates the brutal realities of pro defenses. The term may sound exaggerated, but the intent is anything but. After years of instability along the offensive front, there's a sense that Vrabel is unwilling to let his rookie signal caller become another casualty of poor protection. Those close to the situation suggest this isn't just about adding talent. It's about sending a message. Vrabel, known for his hard-nosed philosophy, reportedly views quarterback development as inseparable from physical security. The idea is simple. Confidence grows when pressure shrinks. And for a young passer like Maye, still adjusting to speed and complexity, even a fraction of extra time can reshape an entire trajectory. League observers have noted subtle hints pointing in this direction. Increased scouting attention on veteran linemen, quiet contract conversations, and a noticeable emphasis on physicality during internal evaluations all feed the speculation. One anonymous executive described it as building a shield before the storm hits. Of course, skepticism remains. Some question whether one addition, no matter how imposing, can truly transform an offensive unit that has struggled collectively. Others wonder if the focus on protection might limit offensive creativity. But within the organization, the rumored mindset appears unwavering. Before you unleash a quarterback, you must first protect him. If the whispers hold any truth, the Patriots may be preparing more than just a roster move. They may be constructing an identity, one that begins not with explosive plays, but with a simple, urgent directive: keep the kid standing. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.